Alright, a new Jurassic Park movie is here. So, did they learn from the mistakes of Jurassic World, or did they end up just making all new ones? Let's dive in and find out. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is the 5th film in the Jurassic Park series, and this movie takes place 3 years after the events of Jurassic World, where Isla Nublar has been completely abandoned once again, and only this time they find out that there is a volcano erupting, which brings up a lot of questions on why would you even build a park in a volcano? This even goes back to the original Jurassic Park, not just Jurassic World. But anyway, Bryce Dallas Howard sets up a team of people to try to go to Isla Nublar and save the dinosaurs to prevent another worldwide dinosaur extinction. Even though I'm pretty sure there is a second island out there full of dinosaurs that are living free, no fences, and they're perfectly sustainable. But whatever. So she is reluctant to bring on her ex, Chris Pratt, who once again plays Owen Grady, just because the people who hired her to go on this expedition to Isla Nublar have a particular interest in Blue, who apparently is the only living velociraptor left, which you only made 4 velociraptors in all of Jurassic World? So they go ahead with the expedition, but they soon find out that there's something a little more sinister going on that leads into the creation of a new genetically modified hybrid known as the Indoraptor. So the Jurassic Park series has been on a pretty bumpy road. We all know and love the first movie. It's a masterpiece. It broke all kinds of ground. It's one of my top 30 favorite movies of all time. No, top 20. It is one of my top 20 favorite movies of all time. I adore it. The Lost World, I had fun with. I can look at it as a remake of the original Lost World from 1925 rather than a sequel to Jurassic Park. It's a fun ride all in all. I think it's well directed in some parts, but it does have a stupid script and there are a lot of dumb moments spread throughout. Jurassic Park 3 is a movie that I have a personal soft spot for because I visited the set when I was about 9 or 10 years old. I got to see all the animatronics, but even I can acknowledge that this movie is kind of tired. It has some good ideas here and there, and it can be thrilling at points, but it just feels too generic and feels like we've just been down this road before. So 14 years go by without any of these movies, and we get Jurassic World, which I enjoyed when it came out. And looking back on it, there's a lot in this movie that I really do like, but then there's a lot in this movie that I just downright despise, I hate. So when it came to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I went into this very skeptical because A, I think it's a stupid title, Fallen Kingdom. 2, I didn't like any of the trailers. They just didn't sell me. 3, I think all the posters have been incredibly lazy. Like, whoever is the one designing all these Jurassic World posters needs to be fired because it is just downright lazy and piss poor Photoshop, which is why I'm just sticking with the teaser poster. So, seeing Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it started out pretty good, actually. The first opening sequence of the film is actually intense, it's thrilling, it actually put me on the edge of my seat. It's almost on par with the sequence in Jurassic Park where the T-Rex breaks out of its paddock during the night and in the rain. It's not as good as that sequence, or as good as the scene where the raptors are running around in the kitchen, but it is a scene that really put me on the edge of my seat and made me go, okay, I think we're in for something that's a little better than Jurassic World. And that's the attitude I kind of had for the first half of this movie. It's a gorgeous film. Out of all the Jurassic Park sequels, this is probably the best looking one. It's the first Jurassic Park movie to be filmed in anamorphic widescreen, so you just get a lot more scope to it. And there are some amazing shots in this film that just give me chills looking at it. And the director of this movie is actually Juan Antonio Bayona, who directed one of my favorite movies of 2016, A Monster Calls. And that was a gorgeous looking movie in itself. And I think this movie is actually more well directed than Jurassic World was, because it's the first Jurassic Park movie since Jurassic Park 3, I'd say, to give you some intense thrills. And there were a lot of moments where I was on the edge of my seat and a little frightened at points. And I also really appreciate that it didn't go into the realm of being a straight-up horror movie. It just had horror elements in it, but didn't go into a lot of horror cliches. There are some horror cliches here and there, but overall, a lot of the thrills in this movie are effective. Very, very effective. The action scenes are pretty amazing as well, like the whole island sequence with the volcanoes erupting. It's damn impressive. It's often thrilling, it never stops, it's intense, and again, that very first action scene that I talked about, it's really, really well done, and it's just a very well directed movie. The human characters are alright. They're often pretty varied. When it comes to the main characters, Bryce Dallas Howard is doing the best she can with her material. She doesn't go through any major arcs the way she did in Jurassic World, even though that was in a particularly well-written film. And there is actually one other character in this movie that I did like, and that would be the character played by Daniella Pineda. I've never seen this actress before, but I will say that of all the human characters, she's the one that feels the most natural, and she's the only one that brings in a lot of personality to her role, and she's probably the most human of all the human characters. So she just has this sort of spunk that I really liked. Every time she's on screen, I enjoyed watching her. So those are a lot of the good, positive things I have to say about the movie. Now let's segue into the bullshit, because this right here, if there's one word that I can use to sum up Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it is non-subtle. There's a lot in this movie that just doesn't work, and it is never subtle about it whatsoever. That whole big sequence where we're on Isla Nublar is only the first half of the movie. When we actually get into the second half, we get to really see how stupid this movie gets. And even though J.A. Bayona does a really good job directing certain segments and delivering gorgeous shots, it's still a script written by Colin Trevorrow. And if Jurassic World didn't convince you of how terrible of a writer he is, this movie should very well be the nail in the coffin in terms of him as a writer. Because I think Colin Trevorrow is actually a good director when given some good material, but as a writer, it's terrible. And again, it all goes back to this movie not being very subtle, particularly with the film's villains. When we get into the second half of the movie and we really see why they go to the island to begin with, the villains here are just downright cartoonish. They are just unbelievably over the top to the point where it takes you out of the movie, and again, it's just never subtle. Because you have your main villain, who I'm not going to say much about, but he's a cartoon. You have Toby Jones in the movie, who is also very cartoonish. And then you have the lead mercenary on this expedition to Isla Nublar. And when watching this movie, I don't know how accurate this is, I'm probably completely wrong about this, but with the way that this character plays out, it feels like they wanted to get R. Lee Ermey for this movie so badly, because he acts like R. Lee Ermey in Full Metal Jacket, but they couldn't get him, so they just had to settle on discount R. Lee Ermey. And again, I've used this phrase so many times, but it's just never subtle. It is very on the nose, it is in your face, and you just wish for them to pull back. Also, the movie has no idea what tone it actually wants to take. Because you have these really goofy, cartoonish villains, it's hard to take the film's message about whether or not cloned animals deserve to live seriously, because you're just so distracted by what's going on with the villains. You have one character who goes on this expedition who's an IT technician, and he's pretty much there just for comic relief. All he does is just scream like a little girl. Luckily, the movie doesn't actually make fun of this fact, but that's pretty much all he's there to do. He's there to be awkward, he's there to be scared, and he's there to scream like a girl just because, hey, it's funny. And no, it's not funny at all. It's downright annoying. And then as for the ending of the movie, I'm not going to say much, but it's kind of half and half depending on which way you look at it. It does leave you on a cliffhanger for the sixth movie, which I'll admit, as much as I was giving up on this movie in the second act, the hook that they had for a sixth movie actually was kind of intriguing, but the big final battle at the end of the movie was unbelievably anticlimactic, because as dumb as Jurassic World got, that movie with its big dinosaur tag team fight with the Indominus Rex fighting the T-Rex and Velociraptor, it ended that movie on a bang, and this movie ended on a whimper, I thought. So I have a lot more that I want to say about this movie, but I want to save it for when I actually get into spoilers. But I'll wrap things up right here. This is my least favorite of all the Jurassic Park movies. It is just so outlandish, it's cartoonish, it goes down a realm of stupidity that even the first two sequels didn't go down. Because The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 are not great movies per se, in fact some might even say they're not good, but there was never anything on the nose about them. They still felt very subtle, they felt a little more natural and grounded than these two Jurassic World movies do. And another thing that I gotta say is, These two Jurassic World movies are incredibly bloodless. Like, these movies just shy away from the violence and cut away the second we get something that's even going to be remotely gory. And even though the first three Jurassic Park movies were PG-13, like these new movies are, when you saw somebody get killed by a dinosaur, you felt the impact, and it really felt gruesome. As fake as that Samuel L. Jackson arm is in Jurassic Park, it was effective, it was frightening, and this movie just doesn't really have any of that. And also, I just really don't like the fact that these movies pull back on the animatronics. There are more animatronics here than there was in Jurassic World, but not by much, because it still has a huge over-reliance on CGI. With the first three Jurassic Park movies, their attitude was, can we do it practically? Then do it practically. Can we not do it practically? Then let's do CGI. These movies just don't take advantage of practical special effects, and especially considering that they had Neil Scanlon on board, who's done fantastic practical work on the new Star Wars films. It's just disappointing that his talents are kind of wasted here. I would say watch at your own risk. This movie is very much skating by on me saying, don't go see it. But there's a lot of really good moments to it, and it does deliver on some genuine thrills that haven't been delivered since Jurassic Park 3. So it has its bright moments here and there, and it does have a few interesting ideas. But what's bad about this movie is horrible. It is just downright laughably bad, but not in a good way. In a way where you'll just roll your eyes repeatedly. So I don't give this my strongest recommendation, but it's just one of these movies where you're probably going to see it anyway. And if you do see it, just go in the daytime, pay matinee to see it. This is not worth full price at all. And that's my review for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are on the movie, if and when you've seen it. Don't forget to support my Patreon page, follow me on social media, and until next time, this is the Real Mr. Robinson telling you, there is only one.